Hello and welcome to a third episode of the Jack and Joe Show. It's been a slow summer in terms of transfers and rumours, but the Euros is over and we're fully back on the Fulham train. Joe Sansom, how are you today?
Yeah, very well, thanks. It feels like ages since we've
I know.
spoken about Fulham. It feels like absolutely ages.
Well, our last video was the live stream, Marco Silva, and that was 3 weeks ago, which is
Wow.
incredible. Nothing's really happened. We've had the Euros, of course, and we've been distracted by all that. But now we have some concrete rumours to get our teeth into. So without further ado, let's just get into it. A few weeks, about a week ago, maybe the Harry Wilson rumour came about, and it was only last night where the Matt Grimes rumours really started to materialise. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've seen and how you feel about that?
Well, the Matt Grimes one was a bit weird because I was just on Twitter yesterday after work, and all these Swansea fans, after the Steve Cooper news broke that he was leaving by mutual consent, which is quite a big story in itself, a lot of Swansea fans seem to think that Matt Grimes was on his way to Fulham, and I'd seen nothing concrete about this at all. We'd seen that we were linked a few weeks ago, as you said. Us, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Southampton, quite a few in for him. And then the Athletic reporter for Swansea, Stu James, tweeted that Grimes is as good as gone. Now, whether this is to Fulham, we don't know. A lot of Swansea fans seem to think he is. I would be all for this signing. I think we need, and we'll come on to talk about our squad and how it's shaping up, but I think we do need one more body in midfield. I mean, that's assuming that there are a few outgoings at this moment in time. There haven't been, so you never know. But Grimes, Swansea's captain, he's been brilliant for 3 years in a row now in the Championship for them, especially the last two in their playoff campaigns. He captains a side. He's like a deep lying player. He often sits in front of their back three or five. I know they play different systems at Swansea. And his goal against Barnsley in the playoff second leg was just unbelievable. So it seems like he's off, which seems to be an unpopular decision if you look at the Swansea fans' reactions, and that is always a good sign.
Yeah, fantastic. I think Swansea at the moment are falling. Well, I wouldn't say falling apart as such, but they're on a downward trajectory. As Steve Cooper apparently decided to leave 2 weeks ago, but wanted to oversee pre-season, which I think is a really good move from him. Just so they get another replacement. I have no idea who they're going to get in as their new manager, but of course Matt Grimes linked with Fulham. QPR now seem to feel like Steffi Johansson is going to go the other way. We've seen Johansson in training. We've played a couple of pre-season games. I think he featured in like one of them. But I don't see anything that's suggesting that Johansson is going to QPR. It could happen. You just never know. Before we get on to Harry Wilson, the news came out this morning that Michael Hector has been linked with Bournemouth. Now, I have a few things to say about this. Why on earth would we sell to Bournemouth after the hoo-ha that happened with Scott Parker? Why on earth would Michael Hector want to join Scott Parker when he froze out He froze out Hector when we went to the Premier League. The only games he played was very, very early on, and then in the cup game against Burnley, I seem to remember, and he got spun by Ben Rama against Brentford, which was awful. It just seems a bit bizarre. I don't think we should sell any centre backs at this current moment. I think we've got a really good, solid 4 or 5. Maybe Maxime Le Marchand, actually, he can go, because I don't see him getting a look in this season. But Joe, I want to know your thoughts on this, because I think it's a bit cheeky of Parker after all that's happened. He'd go, "Oh yeah, by the way, we'll have one of your best centre backs in Michael Hector."
I think it's got to be a non-starter, hasn't it? I think, as you just said there's so many reasons why this deal is weird. It's the same as Parker going in for Johansson, someone that he didn't even put in the 25-man squad. It just doesn't make sense. And like you say, I'm happy with our centre-backs. Tosin, Congolo, Mawson, Ream, Hector, I think all good enough. And then Lamar and O'Doy, I think, can go, in my opinion. Yeah. If you think of O'Doy as a centre-back, he could play as right-back as well, or left-back even. But I wouldn't want him in either of the 3 positions anymore, to be completely and brutally honest. I think we're fine. We're well-stocked. We don't need to sell Hector. And I wouldn't sell anyone to a direct rival unless they really were deadwood, like some of the players I've just mentioned. But I don't think Hector is. I think he's got a part to play. Also, another reason that you didn't even mention, I've only just thought of this off the top of my head now, that this deal is weird, is that Hector's still at the Gold Cup. Jamaica have got through. So I feel like it would be a few weeks before he's even back in the country.
Yeah.
And that's if they don't make the final, which they may end up doing. So, it's the season will have started by the time that Hector's back in the country, most likely. Are we going to sell then? I doubt it. Bournemouth also probably want a centre-back in before the season starts. Carter Vickers hasn't gone back there yet. So there's been links to Scott Dan, who, as you know, I am a decent fan of. I don't mind him. In terms of Parker's style, though, not sure it makes too much sense. We know he's going to try and pass teams to death, whereas Dan's style seems to be more sit back and take on the pressure, as Palace played under Hodgson. So I hope it's going to be a non-starter. I don't want to see Hector go there. If a huge bid comes in for him, I wouldn't be against selling, because I think he's one of the players that didn't seem quite capable of the step up. Whether that was to do with Parker, we're yet to find out. But yeah, as you say, wouldn't sell and wouldn't send to Bournemouth.
And the final rumour is Harry Wilson. Now, I'm a big fan of this. He scored a fantastic hat-trick on the last day of the season against Birmingham when Cardiff beat them 4-0. He's had a really good season with Cardiff last season. He's back at Liverpool now, and Liverpool want to sell permanently. But here we are again, talking about a winger coming into Fulham for a fee of about £15 million. I mean, Cavallero, Knockaert, Wilson. I think Wilson's a very good player, and I think he's probably worth the money that we might spend on him. But what's the thinking behind this? Do you feel like we need another winger? And is this someone that Marco Silva's come in and said that he wants?
Well, long term, I do think we need another winger, just because we've seen last season when we got to the Premier League, the wingers that we've got weren't good enough, and we loaned in Lookman, and after a bright start, he fizzled out a bit as well. We've now lost him. So I think we do. Whether Wilson's that guy, I don't know. I think he's a good player. I like him. I first caught notice of him at Derby during that season when they made the playoff final. He was brilliant in addition to Mason Mount and players like that. He did okay at Bournemouth as well in the Premier League in a team that did go down. So I'm not against this move at all. I think he's a good player and would be a good addition. The 15 million price tag, I think, is a bit much. And I would hope that we get him slightly under that, especially with our track record recently. The problem we've got is that track record. Liverpool know that we can spend money like that on players that, to be honest, are probably slightly lower in ability than Harry Wilson at this moment in time. So it's an interesting one. I mean, I think we need 4 players in this window. Now that Bettinelli's gone, which we'll come to talk about, I'm sure, I think we need a new goalie, because we presume Fabry will end up going. Just as a sort of experienced backup to Rodak to push him on a bit more. I want Rodak to be our number one. I also think we need another body in midfield. Grimes would suit that, in my opinion. Another winger. Wilson would suit that, in my opinion. And then I think we need another striker, assuming Mitro stays as a backup to him. So both of these would fit the bill, in my opinion. It would be good to get our business done over the next week, so they're there in time for the Charlton friendly, which will be played in front of fans. Because Marco Silva stressed that he wants his team ready for the first game of the season as much as possible.
And that is encouraging to hear, of course. Of course, it's still, we've got 3 weeks to go. And I'm hopeful that, I think in the Athletic article from Peter Rutzer the other day, it said that we want to maybe start our business in the next 8 to 10 days and see where the squad is at. And I think, we are in need of another striker. The only issues I have is that the accounts of Fulham came out about a week and a half ago regarding how much we've spent and our turnover and revenues and whatever for the last year. And of course, Kieran Maguire from the Price of Football podcast is the main man behind that. And it was quite a worrying read. We put a lot of money into the club in the last few years, and that's a huge thanks to Shahid Khan. But maybe we do have to be a little bit more cautious this season, not to get into any FFP problems. Apparently, we are on the right side of it. But like I said, 15 million on Harry Wilson is going to raise alarm bells, surely. But maybe we do have to sell the likes of Anguissa, Fabry, and some other assets just to balance the books a bit. But I'm not really sure about the ins and outs of it. I have given it a skim read, but hopefully by the time we enter January, we're not in any embargo like Reading are at the moment. Marcus Bettinelli left the club, and that was right. I think last week. It's a terrible shame it's ended like this to be released, but I think he's been an unbelievable servant for Fulham Football Club, Joe.
Yeah, completely. Obviously, we haven't seen much of him in the past couple of years. The last we saw of him was when Rodak had been sent off against Middlesbrough and Bettinelli came back in. And then obviously Rodak came back from suspension, and came back into the team. And since then, he hasn't had a look in. He was underwhelming at Middlesbrough, which is very sad for him because I think it would have been possible to get a permanent move there. And under Warnock, they'll probably want to try and break into the top 6 this season. Don't like the links with Chelsea, I've got to say. I don't like that at all. I wouldn't want him to go there, and I feel like as a Fulham guy, I would hope that he would choose against it. But, he's getting to the stage of his career now where I think he needs to be playing football. I don't see why he'd go to Chelsea. I don't think it makes any sense. Great servant to the club. We'll always remember Wembley. And the interview with him and K-Mac was brilliant on the Fulham website, if you haven't seen it. They were really open about their time at the club. And Bettinelli talked a lot about how one of his favourite moments was his Premier League debut for us against Burnley. And he was always a passionate goalie. You could see how much the club meant to him. And I will miss that. But it was, I think, time for both parties to move on. And I think the right decision was made.
He's a great guy. He'll always be loved by the club. Wembley against Aston Villa, he was fantastic. Always a nice chap. I've met him a couple of times and he's been fantastic. And I'm really going to miss. I'm sure the club will miss his presence at the club. And we're going to miss him in between the sticks at Fulham. Before we finish today, we're going to go through where the squad is at. I've nabbed this from Twitter from Ashley Friatis last night. He posted it. He hasn't included Anguissa and Seri in this squad. But let's have a look. It's Rodak in goal with a backup of Fabry. Left back is Mason Greenwood's enemy, but Mason Greenwood's nightmare opponent in Joe Bryan with a backup of Anthony Robinson. And then at centre back, you've got Mawson and Tosin with backups of Congolo, Ream, and Hector. And then at right back, we've got our favourite Kenny Tete with a backup of Cyrus Christie and Steven Sessegnon, who can also drift into midfield, hopefully. He's put Matt Grimes in, and he's put Harrison Reed in, and then Kearney as a 10. But then you've got backups of Bobby D. Cordova-Reid, Stefan Johansson, and Josh Onomar, who's someone I want to talk about in more depth with you in a later video, because we're wondering where his role lies this season. Tyrese Francois is in there as well. And then you got the wing. You've got Harry Wilson, Anthony Knockaert as a backup, Caviero, and then Fabio Carvalho, Niskins Cabano as a backup. And then up front, Mitrovic, who's still at the club, and Abubakar Kamara. So, yeah, I feel like we do need another striker in that area, Joe. What do you think of the whole squad setup at the moment?
Yeah, I think defence, really well stocked, quality in every position, sometimes double quality in terms of left back and centre back. Right back's a weird one because we've basically got 4 players currently that could play there. Tete and Christie, as you said, Steven Sessegnon and Fossey is going to be trying to break in. So you'd hope some of these guys can go out on loan. Opoku at centre back, you'd think will go out on loan. Possibly Francois as well. Jasper looks like he's out on loan. And then the one that you'd hope would really break through is Carvalho. The squad's looking so much better than the one that went up in 17-18, than the one that went up 19-20. We've got quality, and this team, as it stands, that squad you just named me right there, and we know that Grimes and Wilson are just rumours at this present moment in time, but I would even say without them, that squad should be getting top 2. That squad should be getting top 2 100%, and with a manager like Marco Silva that is sounds like he's had a positive impact so far. He clearly wants top 2. That's what we should be getting. Yeah,
I genuinely, it's so exciting, that squad. It's got lots of depth to it, and I think if we can add to that, I mean, I did even mention, like I said, Anguissa and Seri could stick around. Yeah. You just never know, and that really would be very exciting. Shorter videos for this sort of thing, 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to be doing more live streams this season instead. Additionally, maybe when we sign a player, maybe when we want to have more things to discuss after a game during the week. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Joe Sansom, it's been a nice pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks, Jack. Hopefully we have some concrete news soon.
Yeah, we need some concrete live stream, big news, triple signings, new shirts, Carabao Cup round 2 draw. I mean, obviously
Of course, yeah.
that's not until the 10th or 11th of August or 12th when the round's concluded. But thanks very much for watching. I hope everyone's staying safe and well in these transitional times. And I'm just trying to get it ready. Where is it? It's over here. So thanks very much for watching, and come on, Fulham.